They told us slavery ended. Chains were broken. Freedom was given. But what if I told you slavery never ended? It simply changed its mask. Today, the shackles are not made of iron. They are written in contracts, in credit cards, in loans, and in endless interest payments. Debt is the new slavery. A prison without bars, a whip without a hand, a chain people place around their own necks willingly, even proudly. History shows us this is no accident. Thousands of years ago, rulers discovered something more powerful than armies, more controlling than fear. It was debt. In ancient Mesopotamia, farmers borrowed grain to survive. When harvests failed, they owed more than they could pay. Land was seized, families sold, freedom lost. Debt was the invisible whip. Rome perfected the system. Citizens borrowed from wealthy lenders. When they failed, they became slaves, not by war, not by conquest, but by signature. Entire lives bought and sold for numbers written on parchment. Debt has always been more than money. It is control. The Church, too, played its part. During the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church condemned usury, charging interest on loans. But kings and popes found ways around the rules. Banking families like the Medicis thrived. Monarchs borrowed vast sums to wage wars they could not afford. And who paid the price? Not the kings, not the popes, but the people. Through taxes, through tithes, through poverty passed down from one generation to the next. The paradox was cruel. A God who promised freedom represented by institutions that chained people in financial bondage. Forgiveness was preached from pulpits, yet debts could damn a man and his children. Does this sound familiar? It should, because even today governments borrow trillions they cannot repay. And who carries that burden? The ordinary citizen. In the United States, the national debt now exceeds $34 trillion. That is over $100,000 for every man, woman, and child. And yet citizens are told they are free. Every year, governments pay billions in interest to creditors, often more than they spend on education or health care. In 2023 alone, the U.S. government paid $659 billion just on interest. Imagine how many hospitals, schools, or jobs could be created with that sum. But no, the people's sweat goes to lenders, bankers, and investors. This is how governments milk the public, by turning the population into a tax farm, a field to be harvested, not with scythes, but with debt instruments. And then, the banks. They learned a deadly trick in the 18th century. Money could be created from nothing. Once, money was tied to gold, scarce, solid, real. But wars demanded more. Empires needed endless supplies. So the gold standard was abandoned. Paper became money. And behind that paper was debt. Today, every dollar in circulation is born out of debt. When you take a loan, the bank does not hand you money sitting in a vault. It creates money by typing numbers into a system. Numbers backed not by gold, but by your promise to repay. Here lies a paradox. Money itself is debt. And if every loan were repaid tomorrow, there would be no money left in the system. This is the invisible machine, a system where society can never be debt-free because debt is the blood life of the economy. And where does that leave you? From the moment you turn 18, the trap is laid. You are told to study, to chase your dreams, to take a student loan. Before you even hold your first job, you owe thousands. The average American student debt today is $37,000. Some never escape it, even decades later. Then a home, a mortgage, 30 years of payments. Then a car, more debt, a credit card, more debt. You buy freedom with chains. And suddenly, your life is not guided by dreams, not by choices, but by payments. Every hour you work, every day you labor, is not for your future, but for the lender's future, for the bank's profit, for the government's interest bill. Is this not slavery? The irony is almost poetic. The best slaves are those who believe they are free. No guards, no whips, only fear. Fear of bad credit, fear of losing a home, fear of bankruptcy. So you wake up, you obey, you work, and the system smiles. The church of old used to preach eternal damnation for unpaid tithes. Today, the modern church of finance preaches damnation for unpaid debts. Different robes, same chains. And nations, too, are slaves. Across Africa, Asia, and South America, countries rich in resources remain poor in reality. Why? Because they are trapped in international debt. The International Monetary Fund and the World Bank promise loans for development. But every loan comes with conditions. Cut social programs, sell state industries, surrender resources. In Zambia, more money goes to foreign debt payments than to health and education combined. In Pakistan, over 50% of government revenue is consumed by debt servicing. This is empire without colonies, domination without soldiers. Nations enslaved not by war, but by contracts. The deeper you look, the clearer the paradox becomes. Debt is sold as opportunity, but delivers captivity. It is advertised as freedom, but enforces bondage. It is painted as growth, but rots like poison beneath the surface. So, is there hope? Yes, but hope begins with awareness. Awareness that debt is not neutral, that it is a weapon disguised as a tool. And the question you must ask is simple. Are you holding it, or is it holding you? Because slavery never ended. It evolved. The whips became contracts, the chains became credit, and the masters wear suits. The ugly truth is this: you may not live in a prison, but if you live in debt, you are not free. The question is, will you ever be?